From the wilderness of Canaan to the splendor of Egypt, Joseph entered a world unlike any he had known. The boy who once dreamed of kingship now walked as a slave, his fate in the hands of men who saw only his price. He was no longer among brothers. He was among strangers, in a land of gods and rulers. Sweat drips down Joseph's face as he looks up at the grandeur of the city, fear and wonder mixing in his tired eyes. Slave market unfolds, with traders inspecting new captives. Some stand on raised platforms as potential buyers examine them. Among the crowd stood a man of importance, a commander of Pharaoh's guard. A wealthy Egyptian nobleman, Potiphar, steps forward. He is dressed in fine linen, his posture commanding respect.
How much for this one?
Potiphar's sharp eyes assess Joseph carefully. His lips press together in thought before he nods slightly to the trader. He saw something in the boy beyond chains and dust, something worth buying.
For a strong boy like this, 40 pieces of silver.
The trader weighs a handful of silver coins in his palm, then gestures toward Joseph with a smirk. And so, with a handful of silver, Joseph was bought into an unknown future. Potiphar's grand estate, a palace-like home with lush gardens, elegant columns, and Egyptian servants attending to duties. Joseph, the son of Jacob, once favored, now belonged to another man. Joseph stands in the courtyard, still in tattered clothes, as a servant approaches with fresh linen garments. Joseph looks down at the new linen garment in his hands. His fingers grip the fine fabric, his face unreadable. The sun rises over Potiphar's grand estate, casting golden light over white limestone columns and lush gardens. Servants begin their daily routines, carrying baskets of grain and water jugs. Joseph's life as a slave had begun, but his journey was far from over. Joseph, now wearing a simple but clean linen garment, carefully sweeps the courtyard under the watchful gaze of an Egyptian steward. From the lowest task, he labored without complaint, his hands learning the work of a servant. Sweat drips down Joseph's brow as he lifts a heavy jug of water, his arms straining but steady. Though he was a slave, he carried himself with dignity, his spirit unbroken. Potiphar stands on a balcony, watching Joseph from above. His sharp eyes assess the young man's diligence. Inside the estate, Joseph is seen assisting in organizing the storage rooms. He carefully counts and sorts grain, ensuring nothing is wasted. He was diligent, honest, and wise beyond his years. An Egyptian steward watches Joseph with mild surprise as the young man corrects a mistake in the inventory.
This Hebrew, he is not like the others.
Even those above him took notice of his wisdom. Potiphar now watches Joseph directly, arms crossed, as a steward informs him of Joseph's efficiency. The boy was not just a worker, he was a leader in the making.
From this day, you are overseer of my household.
Potiphar hands Joseph a fine linen sash, marking his promotion to overseer. And so, the slave became a steward trusted above all others. Joseph grips the sash, his fingers tightening over the fine fabric. He is no longer just a slave, he has a purpose. Though he still served, he was no longer powerless. Joseph, now dressed in a clean and neatly tied Egyptian overseer's sash, stands in the center of the estate. Servants now look to him for instructions. What had been meant for harm became his stepping stone to greatness.